everybody, what's up? It's Steve. Welcome back to Atlantis Confirmed. Um, nope, you're not watching Peaky Blinders. It's Atlantis Confirmed. And I want to talk real quick about yesterday's video when I did my impersonations of all of the other uh, the big names of alternative research here on YouTube and whatnot. Um, Thanks for your great comments. I'm glad it was received well. Here's the funny thing. I tagged all of them in that because I'm not trying to do it behind anybody's back, and it was all done out of love and great admiration. Like I said, I couldn't be able to do those impersonations if I hadn't seen a gazillion of their videos and stuff, and it was all done, from a place of respect. So, but true to form, the only person who acknowledged what I did, and I know they all have busy lives and they've got other things, but they didn't even hit like or anything. The only one who acknowledged at all what I did was the nicest guy in alternative history on the web. As I keep saying, Matt from Ancient Architects was very gracious about it. He even said he tried to post a comment and it got taken down. I don't know what's going on with my YouTube. I think YouTube is suppressing me. I had, again, I got denied for monetization, and they're still running ads on my videos nonetheless. And I have remained at 2,510 subscribers for the last 10 days. For something as fluid as YouTube subscribers, the count that never happened prior in the entire month before that. Now you could have settled down, but the idea of no fluctuation at all in 10 days seems a bit odd to me. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they're removing comments and just limiting participation in general with my videos. So if you're watching this, you're lucky. Okay, so, only Matt. And Matt was funny. He was like, well, it's very funny. I can take a joke. Good on you, Matt. And he said, now I have to work on an Atlantis Confirmed impersonation. I said, nobody's going to know who you're doing. I'm protected by my lack of success, So it's like, yeah, you could do one, but it's like me saying, hey, you want to see an impersonation? You want to see impersonation of my friend Ed? It's like, you don't know Ed, so you're not going to know how good the impersonation is. So anyway, so. I had no idea just how elitist those guys are, and how, like I said, it's kind of, they really see themselves as like these elitist gatekeepers, I think, and they are very protective of their monetary situation of the tours and the subscribers and all that stuff, and I'm just shocked. I'll talk to anybody. You send me something. If the only reason I wouldn't respond is if I didn't see it or I got overwhelmed with stuff, and I got lost. But I never non-intentionally don't respond, So I'll talk to anybody. If you got an idea, you got an idea. I might not know what to do with your idea, or I might not go down that same pathway of thought. But I always encourage, make a video. I'll watch it. If I agree with it and it fits in my paradigm, what I'm doing, I'll link to it and stuff. We're all in this together, and we're looking for the truth. We're not trying to it shouldn't be about protecting our personal incomes. And a good idea is a good idea, and we should be open to anything, and they say never meet your idols. So maybe this is that coming into play. But I would not have expected them to be so unfriendly. Now, to be fair, Matt says that if you answered everything, fan mail or whatever you want to call it, it would be it could be a full-time job, and I get that. But at the same time, it seems a bit draconian. That I don't know. If somebody did an impersonation of me, I'd acknowledge it. I don't know. It does. It doesn't. It does. I'm not sitting around wondering whether or not, I'm not living my life whether or not X thinks I'm cool or not. That's so. We're just gonna. I did that out of respect. I hope they weren't offended. That's my point. Okay, so moving on. La, 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 la. Oh yeah, but I tell you what, just like they, by not, like I said, I initially sent all my research, and you're watching this video, you must have think I've said some valid things here and there. I've sent them all my research, and only Johanna and Matt ever acknowledged my existence. Period. So. Where was I? Oh, so just like that inspired me to do this channel. It's like, well, maybe I will start doing the tours. Who wants to go to Giza with me and look for the a Nath carving on the outside of the pyramid? Hit me up in the hit me up on my email, landisconfirmed@gmail.com. But I would want my tours to be like way more fun. Like, let's experience Egypt, as Egypt. It's a trip to Egypt. It isn't just walking through, sandy rocks and stuff like that. I'd want that to be a major part of it and stuff. But geez, how many times in your life are you going to get to Egypt? I'd want it to include nightlife and culture and different things and stuff. Make a whole thing of it. I don't know. Spitballing. Send me an email and let me know what you think. I definitely wouldn't go in the summertime. Those guys are nuts. All right, so let's begin. Today's video is about, and I wanted to mention, because I did the video the other day about more dog abuse, and I told you I found the Cocopellis and stuff like that. Damn if I didn't find more Cocopellis with a dog. Okay, so here's the one that I showed you that I found, and there's the Cocopellis and more Graham Hancock man bags. They have them as well. There's a dog. There's a dog. They're like kicking them. I don't know what they're doing, but I noticed also they seem to be holding the sticks or the spears. And again, my theory is that these are representations. I don't know if they're accurate representations, but they are representations of the stick people. And I almost wonder if that has something to do why they were called the stick people. Because look at this. Here is another cave painting that I found in a completely different part of the world, yet matches. We once again have Cocopellis. And again, I don't want to necessarily say where this one is. It's on the interweb if you want to find it. I'm saving some stuff for my book, like specifics like this. So I didn't lighten this one, but you can see. And here's even more bizarre because I can't tell what's going on here. One would presume that these are their arms and they're sort of linking their arms together. But then what is this? Is this something on their heads? It almost looks like they're balancing something on their heads while I don't know, this one's leaping. And, he's got his schwanza there, and I don't know, maybe that's there, but I don't know. There seems to be an animal between them because it's got unless that's another leaping figure, but it almost seems like it's something to do with the dog again in between. And the amount of difference in these images is leading me to believe that maybe that it is a misinterpretation, because that could very easily be a leaping human figure back there. If you take these as legs and this not as a tail, and consider this in the distance and not something of size. If it's size and that's a tail, yeah, they have a dog in between them. But he's leaping. He appears to be leaping. I almost wonder if he's leaping through their arms. And this is a misinterpretation of this. They saw this and took it as a dog and said they're abusing their dogs. And it became this. I don't know, but there's something here There's something here. We have and here again. Let's just now say, for the sake of argument, they're holding their arms in the air. That's their left arm, and that's his right arm. Um, and they're holding sticks, just like he's holding a stick. Is this the stick people? Do the stick people called stick people because they held sticks? We got the Kokopelli hair. I don't know. The only other thing is they're balancing it on their heads, and this is an arm up, and that's an arm down, and they're creating a gap for the dog to jump through, perhaps. Are we seeing a circus act? And what's going on down here? These figures down here almost make me wonder if these are the people and what they're seeing is happening in the sky. Like, this is just another plasma configuration that got interpreted. That this was our friend, the plasma deity squatter man. And during one of his configurations, it looked something like this. And this is what the people on the ground saw. Okay, so I don't know, but here we have them again. We have Kokopellis with a small figure in between, and they're holding sticks, and it's a different cave. All right, so and just to remind you, that's from the Popol Vuh. The Popol Vuh, the second says that the second people were the stick people, and that they abused their dogs. So that's what I'm pointing out to substantiate that I'm finding all these ancient cave paintings, prehistory, detailing what appears to be dog abuse that corroborates the Popol Vuh. Popol Vuh. Okay, so here is the Gobekli Tepe Pillar 43, known also as the Apocalypse Pillar, which I'm going to point out some things I've discovered. Okay, so if we go to the very top here, we see a series of figures. One there, one there, one there. I'm guessing these must also be prehistoric constellations, so I'm going to start researching that. But this one I've discovered. This is Taurus, and I know it's Taurus because it matches... it matches a cave painting in a cave carving in northern Algeria. I'm sorry, just in Algeria, northern Africa. This is near the Eneti Massif. This is near Lake Chad, where I traced back the Serpent Mound, found it was a topographical map of the east coast of Africa, with the egg being Lake Chad. In Lake Chad, I have found things like this, where I believe we are looking at our proto-hieroglyphics. This looks so much like proto-hieroglyphics. This looks like so much better hieroglyphic than we see crudely etched upon the sarcophagi in the granite sarcophagi at the Serapeum. I believe we're looking at the people who created the hieroglyphs. We're looking at our proto-hieroglyphs, and what they were astrological. This is Taurus that they are creating. If you look closely, he has the same antlers as well. And that matches what we see in the sky. Taurus is displayed as head lowered and charging forward, supposedly facing off against Orion. Now, Orion is the constellation. It's a bizarre constellation because it's two constellations. It's Orion in the wintertime, I believe. I may have this wrong, but or summertime, one or the other. But in the opposite season, it is Ophiuchus, and Ophiuchus is holding serpents. He's holding two snakes there, and that became the figure holding two snakes. But I digress, because I noticed that the Taurus also matches the Fibonacci tree. There would be the same sort of, I should have did a dual side by side or an overlay. Again, these are my workbook. These are my workbook videos. When I do an ultra slick video someday, I'll have it like, I like to say, come to life and dance and sing for you. But let me see what I can do here. I think that's pretty good. I want to say, I think so much of our history has gone undiscovered for a very strange reason. Because there just aren't enough archaeologists who are into math, and there aren't enough mathematicians who are into archaeology. And I'm in the same boat. I'm horrible with math. But what has saved me is that I never knew that math could also be looked at as the formulas themselves, as the numbers themselves, as geometry, as some form of you know uh, significance in and of itself, the very shape of the Fibonacci tree. And now I have found it on the Sphinx. I have found it here. I think that's a pretty good match. I think the Taurus is an expression of the Fibonacci tree, just like the Sphinx, just like El Kuro, just like the Sphinx enclosure that I have found. Oops, I'm sorry. Flash warning. By the way, I want to say hi to Ken Ross. Ken, thank you for suggesting Nickelback as my new, your favorite band as my new intro music, but you're just going to have to deal. Okay, so, yeah, that's the Fibonacci tree. And that is the second constellation I have found now that is based on the Fibonacci tree. Here was the other dog abuse that I have found. I'm not going to detail it. You can pause the video and look at all of them yourself. But this is from the Popol Vuh, the Mayan Popol Vuh, the Quiche Maya. And I discovered that the dog image, this whole image is on the outside of one of the pyramids. As a hidden carving on the outside. You can go watch one of my videos where I pointed out. I also discovered that the dog, who is now the third constellation that these stars are made of, the dog here with its tail is using the same stars as Orion. And when it's Ophiuchus, and this becomes the Serpens constellation that he's holding. I should have put Ophiuchus up here. The dog tail is the Serpens constellation. So these are the same stars as Ophiuchus. It began as a Noth, the supreme mother goddess, who is I believe the oldest deity I can find. And she was the proto Shiva and Kali, in that she was the fertility goddess and the goddess of destruction. And I'm learning that it may not be lotus flowers that she's holding in her hand, but papyrus reeds, because they were also a fertility symbol and sacred back in the day. Okay, so I discovered now that Taurus and the dog are both expressions of the Fibonacci tree, just like the Sphinx and the Sphinx enclosure. And El Kuro. I'm really starting to think this is everything. The Fibonacci tree and the Fitzgerald inverse gives us in previous video I showed you, the dodecahedron and the toroid with the 0 point, which the mystics believed was the gateway into the Akashic record, karma, spirit world, other world, hereafter, whatever you want to say. And then the toroid brings that energy back to you. All right, so now I have discovered that there are two constellations based on the Fibonacci. And I'm really thinking that is how the ancients determined their constellations. They made a Fibonacci, they chose their primary stars, made the Fibonacci pattern after that, and decided where it linked up with stars is the image that they created from it. So that's my working theory. But now I have discovered two that whatever they called the dog constellation um, is using the same stars as Ophiuchus, Orion, and ancient Enoth, I believe. So, okay, so there are two constellations now made up of, and it should be noted that the Pleiades star cluster is in Taurus, and there's a theory that that is represented in the Lascaux caves, um, within the horns of the Taurus. Taurus was very significant in ancient times. Taurus told you when the hottest days of the summer were coming, for harvest for farming purposes and such. The sun appeared, or some was it? I believe the sun or the pole star, maybe the sun, appeared between the horns of the constellation. That's why the Egyptian, the sun, the sun disk through the horns was so important. Um, it's also interesting to note that, according to, I may be wrong, but if memory serves properly, Randall Carlson, during the cataclysm, the toroid from Taurus meteor shower would have appeared, that hit the Earth would have appeared to have come from the Pleiades. So that's a significant reason for them to remember this constellation, this area of the star. They didn't actually come from there, but they appear to from where you would have seen them on Earth, and that's why the Pleiades. I almost wonder if that has something to do with the bull. Also, we see in the Lascaux cave painting also the bull ramming the man. So is that significant of the cataclysm coming from Taurus? Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. I'm a little whatever about it, but I feel like Graham Hancock and Andrew Collins, not on purpose, but got it wrong here, on the Gobekli Tepe pillar. For this is always described to me at the bottom here as a headless man, and that was how I reported it as such, on my very first video, and I now feel like that was dead wrong. And some very astute watchers, repliers, particularly Cronus333, thanks sir, were, as soon as I posted the video, said, wait a minute, hang on, this is supposed to be a headless man. I don't think he's headless at all. And people sent me different, there's the first one. So there's the supposed headless man, and there's his head. There's it's like a face, just a bald head. See if I can't match it up a little better. You see it, right? I certainly got enough response, so I know people see it. By the way, I didn't make this. I got this from the web. Somebody else was pointing out that there was a head there. So this has already been established that other people besides me are seeing this. And I pointed out in my first video that there is a head there. Now, if you see this from different angles, it just appears to be a crack in the rock. But I've established in these videos that part of the template is to damage the bottom right. That's where you hide the skull. Also, I've established by the rock in the Enigmatic Massif that when you look at it from one angle, it's just a giant rock on a tiny little pedestal. And then if you turn it aside, it becomes a map of Africa. So I believe that they were into anamorphic art as well, whereas you can only see the art from one angle, and that was one of their hiding techniques. Because I see this face too many places and from too many photos in this. It's just not seen from every angle because it's a hidden symbol and they're using anamorphic art. And in the same place, my very first video, I showed that if you divide this into quadrants, boy, I haven't said this in a while. In the bottom here is a headless man, and I thought they just swapped out the headless body for a decapitated head. Turns out there are actually two heads there. He's not decapitated at all. So I think this means something entirely different than what Graham Hancock and Andrew Collins have suggested. I don't think this denotes the cataclysm at all. Um, or if it does, only in that it is representing Anath, the supreme creator goddess, Kali, Shiva, who but I mean, it's got a down there, so I don't know what that could possibly mean then. However, um, I think the anamorphic skull is the face that we see. This is if you've watched my videos, this is the Lord Chaos face. I don't know where that places the other skull, but just to go over this, there's the bird, which I now believe is an eagle that was turned into a peacock, but this is all eagle cult. Um, the bird, sun disk, bird at the top, the M pattern. I haven't said this in forever. It seems like so long ago in my research now. There's the divider, there's the divider. There's the Scorpio, and there's the Scorpio. God, I can't believe, there's people still debating whether or not this is still even a thing. And it's like, my research is like, I've already built on this. I'm on 8. And they're still like, well, is this a thing? And that is how pareidolia accusations have held back science and discovery. And it's really sad that the concern over monetization and not looking stupid has trumped scientific exploration. So let's look at a close-up of it. And as you can see, there's two. There's a little guy and a big guy. I do want to also note that Lord Chaos is much larger than Master Order here. Who am I talking about? These two. This is from Marvel Comics. I was a huge comic book fan as a kid. Stan Lee, who I got his name wrong, it's Stan Lieber was his real name. He was hiding his Judaic faith back in the time of heavy anti-Semitism, and to make it in show business, much like Jon Stewart was John Leibowitz. It used to be a thing, unfortunately. So, but in as much, I think Stan Lee, being Jewish, would have been exposed or could have been exposed to ancient Jewish mysticism, because he and Jack Kirby, who I believe was also Jewish, created Master Order and Lord Chaos. Two disembodied head. One is this weird-looking skull guy, and the other one is a very stern white man. And I keep finding it everywhere. That's what I think we are seeing right here. Now, it's interesting in the comics, whenever something bad was happening to the universe, these guys were supposed to always stay the same size. And if this was huge, if Lord Chaos was huge, that always means something was wrong. And you never wanted Master Order or Lord Chaos to zap out, because they needed to see, they're in a Yanni, it's the sacred feminine. They needed to balance the universe between order and chaos. But whenever something bad was happening, Lord Chaos would get really huge and Master Order would get really small. So that's what we're seeing here. Lord Chaos is huge, Master Order is very small. So perhaps that does say something, just as it does in the comics, about the situation at the time. This is maybe describing the cataclysm, because Lord Chaos is so much bigger than Master Order. And I want you to take a close look at that silly face, because I see that everywhere too. And I'm going to do a video later about that. Here's who we're looking at again. This is, and here's something else I want to say. This is another sad fact about the state of archaeology today. This is the Denizovan art piece that they found. It's a piece of bone, and it is dated to 51,000 years old. It was only discovered about 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. To my knowledge, I am the only person who has put forth a theory at all as to what the hell this thing is. Here's what I found. I believe that it's, and this is way out of the box, that I have found the Jewish tetragrammaton on it. And this is the tetragrammaton. In Judaism, you read right from left, but the beauty of it is also works left to right. In Hebrew, I mean. So consider that for a second. I'm not paid to do this at all. the other alternative researchers with their tens of thousands, hundreds of millions, whatever followers, and a whole industry of academia. And it's like somebody had us all in a room and raised this up and said, okay, does anybody want to take a wild guess as to what the hell this thing is? And not any single one of them who are paid to do this would even raise their hand to even hazard a guess. I'm the only one. Me in the far back. Excuse me, I have an idea. And it's like, oh, look, Captain Paradoilia has what do you think you see? A Smurf? But here we are. I'm pointing that out not to aggrandize myself, but to point out the sad state of affairs that we are in with current research and stuff, that nobody wants to even say, yeah, I'll take a shot. Well, here I am. I'll take a shot. And I think I see the Tetragrammaton in that, which is indicative of Proto-Judaism, and it traces back to 51,000 BC, and it was began by the Denizovans, who are now extinct. Okay, so let's go back to this. This is also 500 BC in Greece, and there's still people debating as to whether or not there's even a face in that stone. Do you see how this is holding us back? Okay, so I believe what happened was, over time, the more gruesome Lord Chaos skull morphed into a more civilized, slick version, so that you had both Lord Chaos and Master Order. It's basically the patriarchy masculinizing Anath and Shiva and Kali. When you have the duality, it stemmed back to the sacred mother goddess and the sacred feminine, which is what they initially saw the plasma deity as. Okay, so I have found 3 more examples of Lord Chaos and Master Order. The first I just showed you. There he is. Here again is the Gobekli Tepe pillar. There is Master Order, and there is Lord Chaos. You can see Master Order's face here, but so there they are both. There is Master Order and Lord Chaos, and it's exactly how we see there. I just needed to flip them around. Master Order and Lord Chaos, and like I said in the comics, Lord Chaos, when he's this big, it's because something bad is happening in the universe. All right, so I found examples of both of them. This is 51,000 BC. This is 500 BC. So the tradition lasted 50,000 years, at least. And there's the Tetragrammaton once again found, and the serpent coming down with the we see in Egyptian and ancient India. Let's look at the second place I have found. So I'm ever impressed by their ability to microcarve, and small bone was a thing to them, because here we go again. This is found in Gobekli Tepe. It's in a museum. This is on Andrew Collins' page. Now, I have stared at this thing for more hours than I care to. So they found, Andrew took a tour there, and one of his tour people found an etching on one of the stones. So that's how closed-minded everything's become. It took just some yuts like me, on a tour saying, "Hey, I see something here," because we're not programmed to dismiss it. And I'll tell you what's been a help to me, oddly enough, when I do a Google image search, because Google image doesn't have the prejudices of humans, where they pre-exclude or preclude possible findings. It just gives you whatever it looks like. And we've lost so much, I think, because we preclude things that are matches, but it's the cake. It's the cake thing. I don't know how this cake got here. It's not possible for this cake to have gotten here, so there must not be a cake in front of me. It's the stupidest argument ever. So, okay, so I really looked at this thing because, according to Andrew Collins, this is where I got my impression that you're standing there between Gobekli Tepe, and you're standing between the pillars, and it's the soul hole. You're there at the soul hole. And I love Andrew Collins, but that's I love that part. Okay, so and I looked and I looked and they're taking that as the guy's face that's just sort of standing there and like, hey, what's up? Um, and he is in between the Gobekli Tepe pillars that are carved very peculiarly because we don't find those carvings on the Gobekli Tepe pillar. I think we're looking at Fibonacci again, but I haven't gotten. But it reminds me of El Curo, the marks in El Curo, and how that matched the Fibonacci. So they may even be starting a Fibonacci pattern right here. I think I may also see some pi symbols at the top. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is let's look what we have here. We have a stick figure who's got really bizarre arm here, leg, and he's got a Graham Hancock man bag. Look at that. So there's another discovery. I found a Graham Hancock man bag on the Gobekli Tepe bone chip. So now I found him in like different cave paintings, and I found him here on the bone chip as well. But here's what's being missed. This is not his only face. There's Lord Chaos, and there is Master Order. And in this case, Master Order is now bigger than Lord Chaos. Let me see if I can see. There's another. This is from andrewcollins.com, so it's authentic. You see the etching. This is what messed me up because I was like, which one is his head? And then I came to realize it's the guy. It's both. I could not piece this together at all. And then I was like, what is up with this forked hand I keep seeing? Because that's what I see on this guy as well. Let me see if I can see the forked. It's almost like Benny from, remember that old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? What was it? Mars, something. Benny the cab driver had that long arm that's separated like that, and that's what I was like, what is this alien arm this figure has down here? And it took a cave painting for me to figure out what it was. So let's take a look at what our objects we're seeing here. I believe we've got a Master Order face, we've got a Lord Chaos face, and I don't think that's the rest of his arm. I think he's holding something, and it looks like a boomerang. And he's also got a Graham Hancock man bag. So we've got a figure holding a boomerang, a Graham Hancock man bag, Master Order, Lord Chaos, and the Gobekli Tepe pillars all tied together. There they are again. You know, just stick with me. Just go with my thing here. That I think that's two heads. Go over here. You see it even better. That he's holding a boomerang. He's got a bag. And it's two heads underneath a pillar. Because then I found this guy. And I want to tell you, this is deceptively simple because I don't know how I do. Look it up. This is from Australia. There is shading going on. This is actually a very beautiful painting. It's just been worn and, it's people haven't looked. But this is a very lifelike painting. The erosion and time. But I want you to notice he's got a cone head, and he's holding two boomerangs. I think we're looking at our stick person. He's African in facial features, holding two boomerangs and with a cone head. If these guys were lethal with two, and I looked it up online, it is capable of throwing two boomerangs at once. If these guys were proficient and lethal at throwing boomerangs, that would have been very, very efficient and intimidating to the people that they were encountering. So look at what else he's got on his outside here. That appears to me to be a bag. I think that's our Graham Hancock man bag, and I think he's got two boomerangs in that hand, two boomerangs in that hand, and a cone head. I think his arms are out, and the centrifugal force is making the bag come out. like that. Um, so that's who I think we're looking at right here. And they gave him the two heads because he's shaman, and it's not it's a spiritual representation of what's inside each of us, chaos and order. And that is it's a spiritual representation. But he's got the bag in one hand, and quite possibly two boomerangs in the other. Mind you, this comes from Turkey, and this cave painting is ancient Australia. So here's what else I found on top of this guy. Okay, so we're going to look. So that's his head, right? You see the head there. That's his head. And if you look closely, he has on top of him our two friends, Master Order and Lord Chaos. And they look about the same size. Flash warning. I can't believe somebody complained about that once. People complain about anything. I'm just going to keep going back and forth. How about if I even bring it up closer? There we go. So I think this is suggesting a spirituality. It's suggesting of this would be the true God self of the conflict in all of us, of chaos and order. Perhaps they're referring to chaos and order of the universe. And this shaman, see the features, the fine features. This is Australia. Damn if that doesn't look Mayan, Aztec, Caracas. We are dealing with a global pre-Columbian culture, and some people have called that Atlantis. All right, so there you have it. I now feel like we have found Master Order and Lord Chaos created by two Jewish artists. And again, I say the artists are the ones who know about this kind of stuff, who would pay attention. And I believe we have found Master Order and Lord Chaos now. So let me bring this one up. This is Stonehenge. The face of Stonehenge, they call it, I believe is a match. This is a Lascaux cave painting. This is the Denizovan piece itself. This is how it makes the tetragrammaton. I believe they were micro carvers and macro carvers. This is the Horseshoe Bend in the Grand Canyon. The eye, the serpent going down the middle, the serpent going down the thing, the dimensions with the smile, here's another row, here's another row. It even has the teeth that this seems to have. This is the Moai, this is the 500 B, this is 400 AD, they say, this is 500 BC, that's in Greece, this is, there he is on the, this is 13,000 years old in Gobekli Tepe. Keep in mind that these figures make and originate from the the compound dodecahedron. That's what it's really it's a face made out of the compound dodecahedron, or maybe just the dodecahedron. But I believe this is the compound dodecahedron because you can make the regular single dodecahedron within the compound dodecahedron. It's all those things. Because it's the stem cell of the universe that can create anything. So it's the ether at its most static, at its most basic. It makes the tesseract. So here we have two examples of Marvel using selling occult knowledge to children. And now I've also found it in the Aboriginal cave art. He matches everything else, holding the bag. He's holding the bag. He's holding the two-pronged. It's not a two-pronged hand. It's two boomerangs. Appears he has two boomerangs in this one as well, and he's holding a bag. That's who we've got here. And so if we find two heads here, it is not out of bounds that in the spiritual world, what they are representing there are two heads as well. If everything else matches up, it stands to reason that would match up as well. He's holding the. I mean, what else do you think that is? A hand coming on an alien hand? It's not an alien. It's a shaman, and he's holding a boomerang, and he's got the bag just like this guy. So the last thing I want to point out to you is, I thought I swear I had it up. Oh, here he is. That there's already been connection made between ancient Australia, and these are the ancient Australians. This is the symbol that they wear. This is found on Pillar 28 at Gobekli Tepe. It's a matching symbol, which is very specific. I mean, very strange to replicate. I believe this is phi on its side, and what they're doing is showing the toroid of the Fibonacci and the Fitzgerald inverse and the Fibonacci tree, which creates the 0 point right here at his chakra. So that is what is being portrayed right there. So my point is, there's already a connection between ancient Australia and Gobekli Tepe in Turkey. I'm just adding on to that, and I really believe that we have found another match, and all of these are the same thing, and the evidence is mounting. And this should not be me who is saying this. You know, it took a guy who had nothing to lose to advance things forward, and that's really sad, because as a video stated recently, the best candlestick maker in the world will never make a light bulb. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see. I think I've said everything. I just want to remind everybody that the Tao Te Ching teaches, do not, if you encounter negativity in your life, and I'm constantly working on this myself, if you encounter negativity in your life, do not engage, observe them in turmoil, and contemplate their return to the Tao. All right, this is Steve for Atlantis Confirmed, and I'll see you on the next one. Adelante.